It's February reading wrap-up time. I'm Kate. I read 10 books last month. 5 were great, 1 was a mistake. Let's get into it. The first book I listened to was The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. I watched the movie first, actually, and I enjoyed the movie so much I went back to listen to the audiobook. And I liked the book better, thankfully. It felt like it had more details about all the characters that made them feel more like real people versus kind of tropey like they seemed to be in the movie. So I gave that one 4 stars. Second, my only 5-star read last month was Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinniman. I love this one so much. Several people have recommended it to me and I kind of put it off, but I did really enjoy it. It felt reading it the same way playing a Dungeons and Dragons game feels, and it was really clever. The world building's insane. I'm committed to listening or to reading all of the books this year, and the 8th one is about to come out, so I have some catching up to do, but 5 stars. The third book was a memoir by T. Levings called A Well-Trained Wife, My Escape from Christian Patriarchy. It was kind of difficult to read, partly because I was raised in a very similar environment and I felt like my life could have been the same if I hadn't made some different choices in my early 20s, but also the way the struggles she was having raising her children felt similar to the ones my mom was probably having when she was trying to raise all 5 of us. So it was a little emotional, but it was well written and it was interesting, and I enjoyed hearing Tia's perspective, so I gave it 4 stars. My 4th book last month was The Power by Naomi Alderman. The concept is so interesting because it's women suddenly develop the power to produce electricity in their own body, which means they can then electrocute other people. So it examines sort of the shifting power dynamics that would come along with that kind of thing. It was written like a nonfiction book, which is also very interesting. That said, there was a little bit more essay in it than I was expecting, and so that sort of knocked it down to 3 stars for me. I also listened to There Is No Antimemetics Division by Qntm, I think is how you say this pen name. It was very interesting. It's a sci-fi book about these life forms that you forget as soon as you're not looking at them, and they're kind of waging a war against humans, and there's a division, or is there, fighting back, but then how do you fight back against something that you can't remember? It was well executed and I really enjoyed it. I gave that one 4 stars also. 6th, I also read First Time Caller by B.K. Borison for Valentine's Day. It was a really cute story. It's about this single mom whose daughter calls into a radio, like a late night radio show, to ask for advice on how to get her mom to start dating again. And then the mom starts going on the show as a guest for a little while, and it's just really sweet. It's, it's a little spicy. I really enjoyed it. I gave that one 4 stars too. 7th, I listened to The 3-Body Problem by Cixin Liu, and I did not enjoy this one. It was a very hard, like crunchy sci-fi novel. There was a lot of world building. There was a lot of science. It was not for me, but the concept of it was very interesting. I ended up watching this show afterwards. The show was a little easier to follow. It definitely had it's like a different presentation to it. So I'll probably keep watching the show, but not keep reading the novels, just because I think maybe I'm just not quite smart enough to follow all of that science, which it was some hard science. I also read the Penelopiad by Margaret Atwood. I was a Greek myth girly when I was growing up. I loved all the Greek myths. So this was Penelope's story when Odysseus was off at war doing the Odyssey. But it's told first person by Penelope in the afterlife. So it was an interesting framing. It was an interesting concept. The story was fun. It dragged a little bit at times. I thought it was a little bit dry. So I gave it 3 stars, but it was still fun. My 3-star range is wide, but it was pretty good. My 9th book last month was Horrible Husbands by Jessica Huntley, and it was a fun, not quite murder mystery exactly, more of a thriller, I guess, but it's these 3 women who are childhood friends, and they've all grown up and gotten married for one reason or another, just like horrible human beings. So they have a girls' weekend and they decide, why don't we just strangers on a train this situation and take turns murdering each other's husbands. They make a plan. Plan goes awry. It's a very interesting read. I didn't love the ending, so that knocked it down a little bit to like 3.5 stars, but it was still interesting. It was still a good time. My last book last month was The Rainseekers by Matthew Kressel. It was a sci-fi novel, kind of written in the Canterbury Tales style, where it's these people who live on Mars and they're going on a journey together, and they kind of take turns telling their backstory to a journalist who is traveling with them, but they're on a journey to see it rain on Mars for the first time after all of the terraforming. So it was interesting. Parts of it kind of dragged, but it was a short listen. I listened to it all in one day while I was doing chores. So I gave that one 3 stars. So that's 10 books last month. 1 was 5 stars, 1 was 2 stars. Everything else was a very classic bell curve. If you read these books, tell me what I was wrong about in the comments, or if you're nice, tell me what I should read in March based on those reviews. That's it. Thanks for watching.